Imagine like a big black hole, and there's a ladder that goes way down the hole, and you're way at the bottom. No matter how many ladders, how many steps you go up, that ladder stays the same length.
Yeah.
That's how I felt going through that depression when I was younger, that no matter what I did to try to make myself get better, I never went up a step.
Welcome back, everyone, to Nothing Fancy. My name is Kevin Salinas, and I'm here with Kaleb Jomaa. Kaleb is a true Toledoan, and honestly, I will say, look, I've traveled the country a fair amount, and Kaleb is one of the I would say top 10 sales guys that I've ever met. You know,
Thank you.
He's hungry. He's motivated, and I think in Toledo, I mean, you're up there.
I'm the best.
You know,
Let's just make it flat out. There's no one better than me. Let's just make it. Let's just call a spade a spade.
you know, but you know, I really respect that because before we get to talking about your story and before I ask you, you know, about your childhood and everything,
Mm-hmm.
I wanna just mention that you don't see that a lot, right? You don't see a real hungry, motivated in sales, especially because in sales you get healthy, you get fat, you get comfortable,
True.
and you've always got that hunger. So you know, I got to give my props to you, and that's why I want to dive into your mindset and see what happened that this Kaleb is, you know, what happened that that made you become this Kaleb.
I get it. I'm ready.
But Kaleb, how you doing, brother?
Good, man. Good. Just another day, another dollar. You know, just being me. That's it.
Tell us, I'd like to know, you know, just a little bit about your story, you know, where you were born.
Yeah.
Obviously, I know it was Toledo, but like just kind of, you know, growing up, your childhood.
Yeah. So start out, I guess, for me is my parents were only together for a very short time before they had me. So my dad was always in concrete. He's done construction his whole life. My mom was studying to be a nurse, RN, nurse practitioner.
You
Right.
want to shout him out? You said he watches this.
My dad?
Yeah. Hey.
What up, Dad? I made it. I made it. No, so yeah, my dad's doing construction. My mom was always, you know, in the nursing field, right? So they were together for only a short time, maybe 2 years before they had me. My mom was 24. My dad was 23. So they were young kids,
Yeah.
right? So they still had a lot to learn, you know, this, that, and the other. But I was born on February 5th, 1996. Best year ever. Growing up, it was a up and down. And down. You know, I didn't always, as a young kid, I obviously didn't remember anything, but growing up, it was up and down. My parents split up, right? So I never had that household with my mom and my dad in it at one time, right?
Yeah.
So over time, that kind of hurt me a little bit because my dad was always working, my mom was always working. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
who would watch
Yeah.
me? My grandma, right?
They're both trying to make it on their own.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. They're both trying to make it ends meet because, you know, back then, you know, jobs weren't paying like they were, and, you know, life was different back then, you know. So they were both working their tails off to try to make ends meet for me, of course, you know. So my grandma would watch me. But growing up, you know, fast forward to I was like 6 to 10 years old or so, let's say. My mom had the significant other, we should call him. He was He was him, right?
Right.
He wasn't the coolest, you know, but
Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing for sure is he taught me a lot of discipline. One thing, discipline and mental strength.
Yeah.
He was a bodybuilder type dude, you know, so he was always, you know what I mean? He was always jacked up on something, but he was, he taught me a lot of mental strength and stuff. And,
Why didn't you why'd you say he wasn't like the coolest?
he never, so my mom and him were together for 14 years, but he never treated me like his own. Right.
Right.
Which, like, if I'm, you know, fast forward to me, like if I was in that situation, right.
Right.
And I had a struggling childhood, right.
Yeah.
I would treat that child like it's my own and care for it like it's my own. And unfortunately for him is he never took that initiative, you know what I
Right.
mean? To be that father, you know, other father figure to me, you know, he, looking back at it, he's kind of an asshole, to be honest with you. But other than that, he was okay. But for my mom's sake, thank God they split up and she's happy now, you know. But they were just super unhappy in a relationship growing up. I mean, until I was 17 when they split up, I think, you know. So it was tough. It was tough. I mean, that's, to be fair, I mean, that's the whole reason I got kicked out of my house was him. And it was him.
Yeah.
It was him. And how that happened, you know, like a short story was, I was kind of a dick too. I mean, to be honest with you, I wasn't the nicest kid. You know, I always thought like I didn't have any boundaries, right? I didn't have any curfews. I didn't have anybody tell me no. I could do whatever I want. You know what I mean? I got a tattoo in a basement when I was 16. You know what I mean? I was like whole chest piece when I was 16 years old. Didn't know what the fuck I was doing.
Yeah.
Paid $40 for it, you know? So it's terrible, by the way. But that's the whole reason I got kicked out of my house is I was kind of an asshole. He was kind of an asshole. And we just butted heads a lot.
Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah. And what he told my mom was when I was 16, it was like after my 16th birthday or just before it, maybe just after it. And he was like, you know, I got to get out of here. Either you're leaving, or either I'm leaving, or he's leaving.
Yeah.
At that time, my mom wasn't making the money she's making now. So she couldn't afford for him to leave because she has 2 other kids too with him, right? So my brother and my sister, God bless them. But my mom's like, Caleb, you got to go live somewhere else.
Was he Hispanic?
No, no, he's like a, I don't know, like an Irish, Bulgarian or something. I don't know.
I only asked that because I think you tag your sister or brother or someone a lot on Facebook that I think's related to you.
My sister, yeah.
And I think their last name is Rodriguez, right?
Oh, that's my cousin Dylan. That's my cousin Dylan.
Okay.
He's Hispanic, yeah. But that's a different different side of the family. But yeah, no, he's not Hispanic. No.
Okay.
No, I wish he was. But no, he's not. So I got kicked out, long story short. I tried to live with my dad for a bit. And like I said, me and my dad, we're like this now. I mean, we're close.
Yeah.
We're like 2 peas in a pod. But back then, I was kind of the asshole. And he was still new to having a kid live with him, right? Or a teenager live with him. So we just didn't work.
Did you ever feel like some type of way like with towards him because like him and your mom split?
I never felt a type of way towards him because they split, I guess you could say. But I did, you know, like I said, when I was younger, I'm sure if he does watch this, I'm sure he would agree with me, right? Is that he was always a good father for like getting me what I needed, right? If I needed new cleats for baseball, football, he'd have them. New shoes, new book bag.
Yeah.
But he wasn't there for me as a child emotionally, right? He was there for me financially, which was cool. But like I said, money only buys you so much happiness. You know what I mean?
I think, and just to kind of give my opinion on that, you know, sometimes even I struggle with that, you know, but I never had a father figure. So it's like sometimes I think us as men, like, we're like, if I give him everything, this will show him that I love him. Right. But it's something that I'm learning too, is like how to be like affectionate with my boys. Right. Because it's like, yeah, you can buy them whatever you want and stuff. And I guess like it takes maturity to realize that.
I agree with you.
To realize that it's like, you know, like they need that time to like play ball with dad or wrestle with dad or whatever, you know? So I think it's a thing that's, in some in I would say in the majority of families, more men are being more affectionate these days than they were, you know, back in the 80s maybe.
I absolutely agree with that. Yeah, I really do. Like my dad, the affectionate one, it ain't him, right? I mean, dude, I've only seen him cry, I think maybe twice in his life, and that's when people pass, right?
You're also talking about a dude who pours concrete.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're talking about a dude who pours concrete, has more calluses on his hands I've ever had in my life. He's poured more concrete than we've all walked on. You know what I mean? So no, he's definitely a brute to say the least.
Yeah.
But emotionally, like I said, when I was younger, I was going through a lot of stuff. Like at 15, 16-year-old age, I was going through a lot of depression and stuff, you know, so I was on different medication stuff, trying to figure it out, but it was just me being hormonal as hell, right, when I was younger. So he just wasn't there for me emotionally, you know, just wasn't there for me emotionally, which, you know, I forgive him for that. You know, we've had our talks and stuff about it, and we've squashed everything. You know, now he's great. I love my dad. That's my homie. You know, that's my dog. There's nothing on this earth that my dad ever asked me to do that I would not do for my dad. Same for my mom, my grandma, my sister, my brother. It's how I'm a big family guy. You know, huge. But like I said, circling back to where I was when, you know, I got kicked out of my mom's house, right? I went to, I lived in my car. I had a 1999 Mitsubishi Eclipse GSX. I bought it for like $4,200 from some weirdo in a trailer park, right? It was a piece of shit, don't get me wrong. But I loved it because it looked like, you ever seen that car off of Fast and Furious, that old
Yeah,
Mitsubishi?
yep,
Looked just
yep.
like that. Big spoiler, the cool shit on the side. And it was like
Right.
2012. So I was like, I'm cool as fuck. You know what I mean? I was like, I'm him, you know?
This is when Fast and Furious was like popping.
Popping, yeah. So I was like, I'm him, you know? I thought I was the dude, but I couldn't get an apartment. I didn't have money, didn't have credit, right? I didn't have money to pay for one to live with, you know, a buddy or a cousin or, you know, I didn't have that money. You know, my grandma lived in Florida at the time. She moved to Bradenton, Florida.
Yeah.
So I slept in my car all winter, 3 months. Only thing I did is I made a little bit of money here and there back and forth just to get some honestly, this is kind of sad, but just to get some change to put gas in my car to keep it running all night. That's a true story. True story. I would get this is actually kind of funny. I bought a heated blanket from Big Lots for like $9.99, right? And it had a port. I was like, oh, it'll be so warm this winter. I'm so pumped up. And I realized that the port was for a 120 plug for your house.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
oh, shit. So I had to go back there and I had to buy a cigarette port that had a 120 outlet to it and plug that fucker in. That was fun. But it worked. It worked. But it made me who I am today. You know, it really shaped me of
What do you
my
think that
strength.
taught you? What do you think that it taught you that, you know, to figure it out on your own, living in your car? Like, do you feel like that taught you anything?
Yeah, I think it taught me obviously mental awareness and mental strength, right? And that you just can't give up on yourself. You know, when I was that age, I gave up on myself. I really did. You know, and I was hanging out with the wrong crowd, doing the wrong stuff. You know, God bless, never did drugs or anything, but I just I gave up on myself. And I always say this too. My dad always told me, you know, you are who you hang around with. That's true.
Yeah.
At that age, I was like, no, Dad, it's not true. You're a liar. You know, my friends are cool. They're not. They're losers. Straight losers.
Yeah.
You know, so I just, when I turned that 17, 18 years old mark, I just flipped a switch in my brain. And
that was after you slept.
that was after all that, yeah.
So what'd you do after the 3 months? Like, did you end up finding an apartment, finding a job? What'd you do?
So the friend that you mentioned that I tag Dylan Rodriguez all the time, right? I lived at his parents' house with him for, I don't know, maybe 6 months, maybe to a year. After that, I said, all right, I can't do this anymore either. I can't. I'm sleeping on a futon in the basement. I can't do this either. You know what I mean? So I ended up muscling up, getting a job, and then getting my own apartment. Piece of shit apartment. Don't get me wrong, but it was a roof over my head. So that's what I did, yeah.
And where was this apartment at?
My first one ever was, I think it was on the south end. It was near like North Detroit in like Bern. Like it was in the hood. Don't get me wrong, not the hood, but it wasn't in a very good area. You know, rent was like $415 a month. I'll barely afford it. I mean, I would scrape into change and picking up, you know what I mean, get whatever I can, you know, but it was like $415 a month back in 2013, 2014.
Were you in high school at this point?
I dropped out of high school. Forgot to mention that too.
At what? At what?
I dropped out junior year. That was when I was about 16 age, right? I was going through a lot of that mental stuff, and I dropped out. My depression was bad, really bad. I got bullied a lot in high school, which really sucked. Through like freshman year to like junior year, which, you know, there's stories about me, blah, 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 blah. But I was bullied a lot. So around that age, that time frame of my life,
You were bullied?
bad.
Really?
You wouldn't think so, right? You wouldn't think so.
Yeah.
But I was bullied pretty bad. So I had really bad acne, really bad, right? And there was a couple dudes on football team or something, and they would just call me like names every day. Pizza face, loser, you know, trick my, you know, and like I'm a big dude, you know, but like back then I didn't know like how to defend myself or what to say. I just kind of wanted to stay away from trouble. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I was bullied.
And I don't know if this is sensitive or what, but I want to dive in. I don't think I've ever met anybody that's like actually been bullied like crazy.
Dive in.
Like, why didn't you like say, hey, like, bro, like, leave me the fuck alone? I don't know, like.
So there is that. So I did one time, and they expelled me. So
Really?
So there was a kid who would pick on me all the time, and we were in social studies my junior year. It was like the third day of school. Like it was fresh. You know what I mean? All summer he was talking shit to me, like, "Oh, you're gonna get this, you're gonna get that, blah blah blah." And I was like, "Okay, bro, okay, you know, like whatever. I'm over this shit, you know." And third day of high school, junior year, I walk into social studies. Period ends. The bell rings, right? and he's like, Jomaa. I turn around and he pants to me in the middle of the class in front of everybody, 30 people at minimum. The teacher's like, oh my God, you know what I mean? And people are like, laughing and stuff. So I'm like, bro, you're about to get your ass whipped. You know what I mean? So I was like, all right. I let it go for like 2 minutes. And after that, the story ended. And then I got expelled.
Yeah.
I beat the shit out of him. Let's just say that.
But did he keep bullying you after?
No.
There you go.
Because I got expelled and I left school.
and I'm not, I'm not like a violence type of whatever,
Me either.
Dude. But I'm like, I think, and this goes for anybody, honestly, with parents with kids, and I've got 3 boys, and I always tell them, like, you guys are gonna stick together for like the rest of your life. You know what I'm saying, and help each other out, and because I'm just like, I was never a bully. I never was bullied. Actually, one time they tried to bully me. A kid tried to bully me, and I fought him. He beat my ass, but he stopped bullying.
Sure,
you know what I'm saying.
Like, you realized you weren't a bitch.
Exactly.
Yeah, I get it.
And
I get it.
And I wouldn't say necessarily he beat my ass, but after that though, I started getting into fighting more, and then I was like, that's the last time I'm gonna get my ass beat.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get that.
But it's I think even having the courage to say, hey, like, even if you feel like you can't fight, you feel like whatever, like just saying, hey, like, all right, I'm gonna step up for myself. I think people, like bullies, respect that. And I think for sure, like, obviously the school system has a lot to do with bullying. But on a personal level, what we could do, if you're getting bullied, is at least stick up for yourself and be like, hey, like, I'm not the one to be bullied. You know what I'm saying?
At that time, though, like, I wanted to. I never told anybody, right? Because I was going through so much, like, in my mental life, like going medication flipping and depression and stuff. I honestly felt like all the things that I was being told about me were true. You know what I mean? So I was like just beating my every day. I woke up every day like dreading. This is gonna sound really sad, but like I dreaded life when I was around that age. It's sad. But
why was that though? Why were you dreading?
I don't know. I think it was, to be fair, I had this weird hormonal switch when I was around that 15, 16-year-old age, and I was on these medications. I was on Wellbutrin. I don't know if you've heard of that drug before, but don't ever do it in your life. It's meant for people who are adults. And I was taking it at 16, and it was just really like overpowering my emotions and my mental. It was fucking me up. It was bad.
But like what I guess what made you like get up and like start thinking about that shit?
Like, what do you mean? Like, thinking
Like,
about
just,
like my life and stuff?
Yeah, like
I don't have the answer to that. I wish I did. I don't. I took this medication every day, and it did something to my brain where it would immediately make me like sad and like crumble in a ball. Like I wouldn't get up for 3-4 days. I would lay in my bed downstairs and just cry. You know what I mean? I didn't know what it was, but that's a hole that I dug myself out of, and that I can hang my hat on and say, like, dude, here's the thing. Like, men's mental health is so like pushed off to the side. Right? Because women and kids, we have to cherish for and nurture too, right? But like men's mental health is very, very important, And
what's your opinion? Like, and I want to ask you what your opinion is about it, but like, it's so interesting because like, obviously, like we talk about mental health a ton now these days, and even like me, like growing up, I never really like believed in it as much, but it's crazy how you're like, I don't know, it's just like something that happens because they say depression is like a lack of like hormones or some shit like that. What is it? Like it's an imbalance.
It's an imbalance of chemicals in your brain. It's called endorphins. It's what releases, like everyone naturally makes endorphins, right? If your brain is not producing enough of it, you get to like anxiety, you get depression, you get all these different symptoms. So your brain's like, you know what I mean? A bunch of wires going crazy.
So depression is an imbalance of that. And until someone told me that, I always thought like, oh, depression's just
don't be depressed.
But,
Go to the gym, go fly a plane, go do something. Yeah, it's not like that.
And it's and so now I'm like way more open to it. And obviously because I've got 3 boys as well. But I respect it a lot more, I guess now. But also though, I'm the Hispanic community, like we're like, depression, go wash some dishes.
I get it.
You know what I mean? That. So it's like just I feel like it's not like as accepted.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
No, because the thing is, I guess where you come from, like you don't have time, right? To be depressed.
Exactly.
You got to work. You know what I mean? Every
You
day.
gotta survive.
You got to survive, right? Like you're from Honduras, right? So you have to survive. You know, you don't have time to sit there and be depressed and anxious. You don't have time to sit there and be complacent. You don't have that time, or you're gonna fail. You're gonna lose.
So can you elaborate on that a little bit more? Just I'm just curious to understand like how you felt, and if you can even like why you felt it, like how you felt as far as like, you know, like you said you dug yourself, and I'm talking about when you were in the hole, as you mentioned.
How I felt was okay. Imagine it like this. Imagine like a big black hole, and there's a ladder that goes way down the hole, right? And you're way at the bottom. No matter how many ladders, how many steps you go up, that ladder stays the same length. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's how I felt going through that depression when I was younger. That no matter what I did to try to make myself get better, I never went up. I never went up a step. You know what I mean?
That's interesting.
It sucked. It really sucked.
So how'd you manage to get out of like?
Well, I stopped my medication for sure. Right.
Yeah. So the medication was.
It was not helping me, to say the least. It was
Was it helping you temporarily and then you'd go back in it, or like?
No, I think it was. I was always at that age, like I was just going through depression, but the medication made it worse. Absolutely made it worse. I just think it gave. Sometimes it's called serotonin syndrome. There's a thing you can get when you get too much serotonin and endorphins in your brain, which cause you to overload on your emotions. It's called serotonin syndrome. It's insane. But you can get that too. And I feel like that's what was happening to me at that age. I was too young to be on that type of medication. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, no, I couldn't do it. But that's how it felt. It felt like trying to get out of the black hole and you weren't moving. You were just there. You know what I mean? So how I got myself out was I got off of it. I moved out of my mom. I got kicked out of my mom's, right? I moved out of my mom's. And I got, homeless for a little bit. Lived with my buddy Dylan, my cousin Dylan. And then got an apartment. Job.
Do you think maybe just being like in a different setting started to like make you just see life a little bit differently?
Yeah, it got me. So a different setting, a different groove put me in this different mentality, right? Because like when I was around that 15, 16 years old age, I had my family to support me. My mom, my grandma. I could eat whatever I wanted. I could go, I can go upstairs and grab a sandwich, right?
You were comfortable.
But when I moved out, it was me. You know what I mean? So if I didn't do X, Y, and Z, I wouldn't get X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean? Right. If I didn't go to work and work overtime and pay my bills, I was going to be kicked out, homeless again, and hungry. Right. So that wasn't going to fly.
Yeah.
So that wasn't going to fly.
And so once you got your apartment, what happened after?
So my first job I ever had, I was a porter at Brondy's Ford, right, for 3 days. And I was like, bro, this sucks. I made like $7 an hour, and I just walked out. Like there was like my apartment was only like maybe a mile away.
Yeah.
And one day it was like I had 1 day down, 2 day down. The third day there was a big guardrail. I just hopped the fence and walked the fuck home. They called me like, "Hey, where'd you go? I saw you hop the fence." I said, "I'm not coming back, bro. You guys suck." Like I'm not. I love Brondy's Ford now. Don't say this on anywhere. I love Brondy's Ford now. Phil Brondy's, you're amazing. Tommy Byers, you guys are great. But I hated that job. I fucking hated it. I hated it. So I just bounced out of there.
And how did you find your way into sales?
So my first ever position in sales was Sandman Sales Yard, which is my uncle Bobby Parker and Sean Parker. Not blood uncles, but my dad's best friend since he was, young.
The one over in Swanton area?
Yeah, so off Airport Highway. Yep. Yeah, they have Holland, they have Lambertville, and they have Perrysburg location. They have three of them. So that was my first ever like sales mentality, where I was taught that you got to work your hand a little bit here and there. That was awesome.
But how'd you like? I guess so. You started selling for them as a rep, or like how'd that?
So
come about?
Basically, you're just you're considered a laborer, right? Sandman is a bulk landscape supply company. So what they do is they sell pavers, they sell stone, they sell mulch, big whatever you need, they can get it, pavers and stuff. So what they do is you have guys who will sit in the machines, who will load the trucks with the mulch and the sand, the topsoil, X, Y, and Z. There was guys who would restack the pallets, take in deliveries, use the forklifts, blah, blah, blah. and there was guys who would stay inside and sell the material and sell the building stone to the builders, right?
Yeah.
When I started there, I was in a loader. I was working outside the machines. And then I realized, I don't want to be outside all day. You know what I mean? Like, Uncle Bobby, Sean, can I do something, that's a little bit different? So they said, well, you've only been here for 2 months. So no, figure it out. You know what I mean? So I had to go through all the swings of things, right? So my first ever sales experience there, I remember vividly what it was. I was outside in the loader. I was loading a big truck up with topsoil. And this lady was outside looking at rocks and pavers and stuff. And I got out the loader and I was like, hey, do you need any help? She said, well, I just don't know what color to choose. I don't know what to do. I don't know the price of these things, blah, blah, blah. So I just helped her out there. And that's when I was like, oh, dude, this is fun. She was showing me pictures of the landscape she wanted and what I would choose for her to go in certain places and price it. That was the first ever time I realized that talking to people and helping them build what they want is what I want to do. That was a switch for me.
So that was when you were like, wait, sales is what I need.
Absolutely. And I didn't make commission there. I didn't make, I was making like $20 an hour, I think, when I was 20, I don't know how old I was, honestly, maybe 19, but it wasn't commission. It wasn't nothing like that. There wasn't any leads to go on, nothing like that. It was just
So did you go back and you were like, hey, can I jump into sales?
Can I just do this from now on?
Yeah.
Basically. Yeah. Yeah. They let me just work the counter and be the guy who would deal with all the builders for all of the
What year was this?
Let's see. 2018, 2019.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you haven't been in sales that long,
No, not really.
because you get I've been in sales 15 years type of guy.
The thing is, though, bro, you can be in sales for 15 years and not be good. You know what I mean? The thing is with sales is I look at it like this, right? So sales is like a house, right?
Mm-hmm.
The sales is the foundation of the house, the brick, the mortar, right? But you are everything else. You're the electrical, you're the plumbing, right? You're the roof, you're everything else you have to build on top of that foundation. If you stick to one trade of the house, you're never going to learn. You're never going to expand your horizons. So yeah, that's how I look at it.
And so after Sandman, where'd you go?
Erie Home. Well, it was Erie Construction Midwest until they got sold out. They got bought out. Erie Home now, yeah.
And that was a big game changer for you for sales in general.
Huge, because I've never done home remodeling, sales at least, right? I've never had to run an appointment, never had to one call close a customer. I've never had to use an iPad and a Polo and try to sell someone something. You know what I mean? I've never had to do that because customers came to us at Sandman, right? We never had to go to their house. They came to our yard and would shop and buy, so it was easier. Erie taught me the most I've ever learned at a company in my entire life. Just not about mentally, but just sales knowledge and psychology behind it. It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
The system that they have.
The system that they have, it's like a whole selling system, right? So it was one page in the front and then all the way to 40 pages. It was full. I mean, it was huge. And just the psychology you would learn. But like I said, what I learned there is that it's just a foundation. You still have to build your sales around who you are, right? You don't want to be like somebody else because that works for them. It doesn't work for you.
Right.
There's a couple people who I've met in my life who try to be like someone else in sales, and that's never going to get you far. You know what I mean? But Erie taught me a lot.
Yeah, I think I like how you said that because I think that's very true. It's as a company, you can only teach or tell so much. Do this and this is our process. This is our system. But half of it, if not more, is your personality.
It's true.
It's the fact that it's you who wants it, right? And I think that's what's wrong with actually not too long ago, I had somebody come in and they wanted a sales position. I was interviewing and I'm like, why sales? And they're like, money. And I was like, okay, that's fair. But that's all he had to say.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that can't be your only reason why.
Yeah.
That's a bad sales guy, up and coming bad sales guy.
Absolutely.
You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? There's got to be more passion behind.
Yeah. If money's the only thing that drives you, you're never gonna make it. Obviously anybody can hustle for money. You can make this, you can make that. But like I always said, that money can only buy you so much. Like I said before, 15 minutes ago, money it doesn't buy happiness forever.
And I would like for you to I was gonna say something about that, but that Elon Musk said, but
Say it.
I think he said something about He's like, I'd rather be depressed in a Ferrari than be
That's
depressed.
true. He did. I remember him saying that. And no, there is a saying that I've always said too. Like, I'll say this when I'm being kind of a cocky asshole sometimes.
Yeah.
They're like, man, money doesn't buy happiness. And I'll go, man, you ever seen someone upset on a fucking jet ski? No, you haven't. Because money does buy happiness, but money doesn't buy eternal happiness, right?
Exactly.
Money buys a certain time frame of happiness, because soon you're gonna get bored of that fucking jet ski. Soon you're gonna want a new Ferrari because that one's old and boring. You know what I mean? You're gonna want something new. That's what money can do for you, but it cannot buy you eternal happiness.
It's like a temporary feeling that you're buying.
Correct. It's kind of like a drug. You know what I mean? It's like a high you get when you buy something expensive and you love it.
I do want you to walk us through that feeling of, like, for anybody who's never sold a job, right? What the feeling is of getting your first like initial sales, and what you felt, and also once you start to understand the process and how it clicks with your personality, like how you made sales work for you, because I think there's a lot of people that could watch this and learn from you as a sales person.
Yeah. So I always tell myself, which I keep this to myself, I'm going to share it on the podcast. I've been waiting to share it on the podcast, right? So there's a saying that I always say in my head is that there's a big hump salesmen have to get over. Number one, it's asking for the sale, right? But why don't they do that is because fear. They're scared of rejection, right? But you know what else is scared of you? Fear. Fear is scared of you as well, right? Fear screams and cries the day that you say, you know what? Fuck you. I'm not scared of you. I'm going to do it anyway.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So you have to overcome that asking someone to buy and getting over the fears of rejection, right? I love hearing no. It's my favorite thing. Because I'm going to switch you around in 2 minutes. I'm going to switch you around. That's the point, right? People say no because you're not giving them a reason to say yes, right? And you have to find that reason for them to say yes before you ask them to buy, or they're going to say no. But yeah, that's a little thing I like to say is fear is scared of you.
And I think it works well for you because you thrive in that environment of, like, you like obstacles. You like to overcome obstacles.
Yes.
Right. So in a way, you also have to have that type of personality if you want to even get into, and not just sales, right? Entrepreneurship and anything that you want to reach. If you want to go from here to Walmart, you're gonna go through obstacles. True. Right. You're gonna have stoplights, and, and
you're
stop
right.
signs. And,
you're right.
So it's like, but it's like you said, it's not having that fear of like, oh my God, there's gonna be obstacles. But saying, okay, how can I overcome those obstacles?
Or just barrel right through them. Just barrel right through them.
Exactly.
You can't.
Don't stop. Just go run the red light.
Go. Right? You ever seen that there was a video or something about, who was it? I think it was an old running back from like the 80s for the Niners. I don't remember what his name was, but he said something on a video and he's like, man, do you ever get worried about someone who's coming to tackle you? He goes, no, I just keep running. No, I just keep running. Right? I mean, that's what you have to do. Like you as a business owner, right? Yeah. If someone goes, hey, Kevin, blah, 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 you lost, $20,000 this month. Okay. Next month I'll make it back. I'll do it twice, do it 3 times, do it 4 times. That's the mentality that you have to have, even as a salesman, because there's some times you're going to get knocked down, right? But why is that stopping you from pursuing what you really want? And it's perfection, right? So perfection is impossible to get to, right? No one's perfect, right? But you can at least reach a level of excellence while trying to obtain perfection. You know what I mean? And that's where I feel like I finally landed is that excellence, the excellence side of things. Now, I'm not trying to be cocky or anything, but like, I'm good.
Well, also it's that confidence.
Yeah, I'm confident.
And that, like, I've always told you behind camera and anybody, like, I'm not a good sales guy, but I'm confident in what I know and what I can do. And that's what sells for me, right? I'll tell people, hey, yeah, this is what I can do. This is what it is. And this is what, whatever.
Yeah.
And people can see that confidence. But I'm not like savvy like you. You're way better than me at that aspect of it. I'm kind of just straight to the point.
Confidence.
And that's the beauty about sales is you can go whichever route you can be a like Justin. He's like more like passive, like relaxed, but he still sells.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? A shit ton because people feel like, oh, I can let my guard down with him and just like feel relaxed.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the thing. Once you find your groove, you stick in that groove, right? So the months that you have, your $80,000 months, your $240,000 months, you reflect on yourself. what did I do on that $240,000 a month that just won? Don't tell me it's the weather. Don't tell me it's time of the year, right? Don't tell me it's, oh, everyone got their taxes back, right? They can afford it now. It was you. It wasn't any other outside circumstance. What I like to do is, I heard this from an old manager of mine at Erie, and he always told me, he goes, blinders, right? Don't worry about who the president is. Don't worry about, the politics. Don't worry about the time of the day, the month, the year, no matter what it is. It's only you are the reason why you're not succeeding. It's only you. It's only you. Whether nothing has anything to do with it. It's you.
I love that.
It's you.
That's so, and that's literally fucking spot on.
It's true.
Honestly,
It's 100% true.
Very true. And I even like, and hopefully Erie doesn't fucking come back at me, but I'm like, I kind of want to get just Erie guys,
dude.
Like, because it's like you guys go through the mud.
It is. So
you know what I mean? You guys go through the mud, and no offense or nothing against any Erie or whatever. I'm just joking. Jeez,
it's true though. They
come at me with 20 lawyers.
No.
But it's like, you're learning how to one call close, 3-hour presentation, twice the price of whoever else. And like, you're asking someone to climb a mountain.
It's a lot to overcome.
Every single day.
It's a lot to overcome. It's a big obstacle, right? But you just keep running.
Exactly.
Just keep running.
So it's like, and that's what, like, that's the only thing I would say I envy from like Erie is their process to be able to really take a diamond that's in the rough and really just shine it. You know what I'm saying?
They do.
And there's also some, I'm sure that they get that are coals, right? And they're like, all right.
I know that one for sure.
This one ain't gonna work.
Yeah,
but
they've made some mistakes.
But it's like it's a very badass system.
Yeah, it is. And again, I can't vouch for how Erie is now because I haven't worked there in 5 years or so, right? But I know back when I was there, it was a machine. It was a machine. They had what's called a hopper, and when you would sell a job, you would get paid before it even got installed. I mean, at all. It would give you all of it, right? Because if it canceled though, you'd have to get it reparred. So it'd take your money out of your hopper and take it back, right? But at one point, Erie was such a machine. I was 20. How old was I? I was 21 years old, right? 22 years old. And at 22 years old, I was making $36,000 a month, $30,000 a month.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, unreal, right?
That's crazy.
And I remember it was me. I'll shout them out here. It was me, Damian Nye, Morgan Seymour, Clay Haas. All of us were fresh to Erie, right? We were like, oh, we're here, we're ready to kill this stuff. It's like a locker room type mentality. And our manager Chris would say, okay, how much do you guys want to get paid this week? It wasn't like, this is how much you're getting paid. It was like, this is how much do you want to get paid?
Right, out of
the hopper. At one point, I think my one weekly check was $24,000. I only brought home like 16, but you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
That's insane. I'm 22 years old. I'm like, bro, I'm about to buy like 4 cars right now. Like, I'm irresponsible as fuck. You know what I mean? Like, I'm about to do the craziest shit. So me and Chloe, she's my fiance now. We lived the best life, man. It was great. We lived in a little farmhouse in Monclova and never had to worry about anything ever.
Yeah.
Any vacation we wanted to go to, we went. Any car we ever wanted, we had it. She got a brand new car, I got a brand new truck, and it was like living the best life, man. It was great. And then I left Erie just because we had our daughter in 2022, and I couldn't do the 9 a.m. to midnight, 6 days a week anymore, and just traveling. I wanted to be more present for her than that happens.
And I want you to elaborate on that other end a little bit too. Is you just said the 9 a.m. to midnight, because you hear people will hear 20,000, 10,000 a week or whatever, and people will think that, I can do that if he can do that. But, they got to understand the hustle behind it too.
Yeah. So Erie, I was an assistant sales manager after my first 7 months there. I got promoted to assistant ASM, what they call it. And you had to go in the morning at 9 to do all of the 211, 311s, all the reporting, right? Yeah. Do sales meetings and one-on-one with guys. And I would do that, right? And we would do training at 10, right? And then lunch, and I would go on leads from a 1, 3, a 6, and a 7:30. Those could be Detroit. Those could be Sandusky. Those could be Fort Wayne, Indiana. Those could be fucking Lima, Ohio, you don't know. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
obviously they try to map it better for you, but
Right.
sometimes if you wanted to pick up they called them burns when a person would go to a lead and say, "Hey, burn my 730," which means that then that lead would be available to somebody else. So I used to pick up burns, and I used to drive hour and 45 minutes to people's houses just to go sell them something.
And then you were there another
3 hours,
Geez.
right? So I was there
And
till
then an hour
11.
and 45-minute back.
Yeah, I'd show
Yeah.
up at 2 a.m. sometimes. So home at 2 o'clock in the morning. Get up at 9 o'clock, do it again. But the hustle was there.
Yeah.
And that's what taught me like a lot about sales and how hard you have to push to be able to live that kind of lifestyle. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it taught me a lot.
What does it feel like to get your first sale?
I remember it. I was with
Is it like the first time you ever smoked weed? Like
yeah.
the best high in the world?
I think it's a little bit better than that, honestly. The first time I smoked weed, it was the most bunkest weed I've ever smoked in my entire life. But the sale, I remember it. It was in Wyandotte, Michigan, and it was a small roof, small roof, maybe 10, 12 square. And the kid just bought his first house. He had an older Corvette in the garage. Like he's a mechanic or something. And he's like, I walked in the house and he was like, all right, how much is the roof? I said, I didn't do measurements yet. I didn't look in the attic, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So I'm doing all that. And I brought him the paper, did the demo. He's like, okay, dude, look, I'm the same age as you. I don't give a shit about any of this stuff. I just want you to give me the price. 10 square roof. I was like, all right, 17,000. He goes, done. I was like, what? I didn't give him any type of objection, nothing. I was like, 17 grand. And he goes, done. I said, okay. And I had to call my manager. I was like, hey, what do I do? Because I've never done it before. He's like, what do you mean? I was like, I just told you. He's like, okay, sign him up. I said, I don't know how to do that, bro. Like, I have no idea what I'm doing. But off that sale, I was there for maybe an hour and a half. And I think I made around 2 grand.
Jeez.
Yeah. And it was easy. And after that, I was like, okay, not everyone can be that easy, right?
Right,
So
right,
my next
right.
one, I got kicked in the ass until I realized, like, okay, I got to learn how to be a little more savvy now, a little more smooth with it,
Yeah.
That first one was a gimme almost.
So when you're getting kicked in the ass in sales, you're like, okay, let me reframe myself. Let me see what's going on. And a lot of self accountability, a lot of self improvement from what it sounds like.
Yeah, self-reflection. Like I said earlier, the only thing that's stopping you from being the best is you, right? Don't blame the weather. Don't blame your morning. Don't blame who the president is. It's you.
The economy.
It's you.
Or the customer.
It's either you or the customer, one of those two, and most likely it's them, right? So I get it, yeah.
So you learned a shit ton at Erie, and they became I think a pivotal moment from what it sounds like in your life.
Yeah, huge.
What happened? What happened after? Where'd you go after?
So after that, I went directly October 2023. I left Erie and went straight to another roofing contractor based out of like Woodville, Ohio.
And they were able to, and you just kind of continued your sales journey.
Yeah, continued my sales journey through that. I did sales there, and then I got promoted to sales manager, basically director of sales, you call it. And then I left there back in, I don't remember, March 2024. Yeah, March 2024. I left there.
And
God bless.
And I've got on my note, I've got on my notes here that you're going through a lawsuit.
I am.
Yeah.
I am.
And why is that?
So basically what it is, without saying too much, right, to be, is I learned everything I've ever learned through sales and entrepreneurship and hustle. I learned that at Erie, right? And when I went to, them, they thought that I was their property, to say the least, right? And I worked there for about 1.5 years or so. And then I signed a non-compete after a year. I was already there. Signed it thinking like I had to do that to keep my job, right? To provide for my daughter and my wife and my household. And, I realized to myself, like, okay, this place is really causing me some serious detrimental damage to my life and my mental health and my family. And this is awful. Like, this is the worst I've ever experienced in my life, right? Really? So I left, right? And, 3 or 4 months down the road, I leave and I get a letter in the mail saying that they're going to sue me for non-compete.
Can you elaborate as to why it was like detrimental to your health and stuff?
I think the constant belittling and the really, really poor workplace environment really harmed me. So a lot of the times, I would work until 4 o'clock in the morning with the manager and the owners. I mean, just emailing back and forth and just getting belittled and yelled at and stuff thrown. And, I mean, like it was serious. It was serious. And I think that really drove me to a place where I was in like this fight or flight mode 24/7. Because I didn't know like if I was going to be in trouble, or if I was going to be fired, if I was going to be demoted, if I was going to be this and the other. And there's a lot more to the story. I don't want to indulge too deep into something where I'm already going through this right now, right? But long story short is that I am thankful to where I am now. Yeah. I am blessed, to say the least, that I am out of that rut where I was once in after I left there and while I was there.
Do you think it was taking you like, when you think back when you were 16, 17, you mentioned about being in a hole where there's a ladder and you're climbing it, a never-ending ladder. Do you think it was taking you back to those types of days?
I think it might have been almost worse.
Really?
It was almost worse, like to where I'll tell you this now, and if I ever told you in my life ever, but I forced myself to an emergency mental health clinic. Yeah. Like 2 weeks before I quit. Yeah.
Did, with you having overcome the first time, was it harder to overcome like all of those emotions the second time?
I think this one was a little bit different because it didn't cause as much as depression versus it did with panic and anxiety, right? Because I was always in fear there, working there, that I wasn't going to be enough. I wasn't going to do this enough, or I was going to be wrong, or I was always on like this fight or flight mentality, right? So, it really put me in a really, really, really bad spot. And, I went into an emergency mental health clinic and got immediately put on these like emergency medications, which I'm off now, but
No, that's the thing sometimes about workplaces is I feel like there's a new wave of, and I've actually said this before in another episode. I asked Mike Ruin why he wanted to be his own boss, and he's like, it's just the old bosses I had were just shitty, yelling. I call it the 1970s way of bossing, right? Where it's like cussing and yelling and throwing things around, and it's just like. But I think there's a new wave. I think the new up and coming entrepreneurs are moving differently.
I agree.
Than that, you'll get one or two who probably still move that way.
Sure.
It's like the dude who is it? Dave Ramsey that yells at people's face.
You're an idiot sandwich. He puts the bread between their face. Yeah, he's a motherfucker, dude. But he knows how to cook. That's for sure. But yeah, that's what it did to me, man. It caused me a lot of home stress, family stress. It caused me a lot of. It really fucked me up. It fucked me up working there. And then after the fact, even still to this day, I still struggle a little bit with some anxiety and panic issues. Yeah. But I've now come to like this part of my life where it's like I'm not gonna let you take me. I'm not gonna let you overcome me. You know what I mean? Right. So like that's one thing I feel like I'm always gonna battle. It's like a mental health crisis thing. Yeah. But now I know how to evade it and how to avoid it. Right, much better than I did at that time.
Do you like just in general? Do you suffer a lot with like anxiety and stuff like that?
So I don't have anxiety.
Insomnia?
Yeah, I have that a little bit, right? So I do. I stay up late at night often because my brain is just always, because of the anxiety and the panic disorder I have, right? So for me, when I was diagnosed, I was never diagnosed with anxiety ever in my life, right? Even when I was depressed, never had anxiety. Even when I went to this emergency mental health clinic, I was never diagnosed with anxiety. I was diagnosed with panic disorder. It's complete two different things, right? So anxiety is like you're sitting there and you're like bobbing your knee back and forth and you're thinking a lot. You know what I mean? For me, mine's not like that. Like if I have a panic attack, what happens is I get really flushed, I get tunnel vision, and I leave. I leave. Like right now, like if we were sitting here talking and I just started to get a panic attack, right? I would feel flushed, I would sweat, and I wouldn't say a word. I'd get up and I'd walk out the door. I would leave. Wouldn't say a word to you.
But like, what does the panic attack come from? Like, what's that come from? Like, what are you panicking about? Is that what it means that you're panicking about something?
No, it just happens. It just happens. Right? It's mental health is insane. So what I think was going on, I haven't had one of those in a while. God bless, but I was on a lot of medication when I left that company too. Because I went to the mental health clinic, right? And they gave me all this medication to try to fix it. I think what had happened was I took so much of it that it gave me that serotonin syndrome again. And it was overloading my brain with all these chemicals and serotonin and stuff, right? So it was causing me to have like this overwhelming sensation of insomnia and panic and anxiety, right? So now that I'm not on those medications anymore, I've really started to mellow myself out, and now I'm pretty solid, really solid, actually.
Do you think, and off camera, so you were talking about something that I thought was a TV show. Do you think 75 Hard or whatever it's called?
Yeah.
You think that also helps?
Yeah.
Has been helping you?
You must have seen my story on Facebook. Yeah. So 75 Hard. Yeah, I think it's helping me a lot. I when I went through all that stuff with, the older company and now this lawsuit, which, I'm out $35,000 because of it. That's a lot of money, bro, for me.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And, it put me in this hole where I was like so like upset about it, and after all that happened, I just go home and just pig out. I would just soak in my food. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was up to I was just eating.
What do they call that? Eat therapy or something like that? Like
I don't know.
they call it
something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know what you're talking about though. They it's like a safety blanket almost. You go in there and you just eat because you feel better when you eat.
It's like if you have like shopping therapy. That's a women's thing though.
I was snacking. Let me tell you. And when I mean snacking, I would say 7 days a week I would order on DoorDash, right? And I would get the fattest food I could pick. Greasy burgers and fries and cakes, and I was just pigging out because
that new Burger Hub place is fire by the place.
My cousin owns that, Adam.
Yeah?
Is it good?
Super expensive.
I figured, but I haven't been there yet.
It's like $20 a burger. I'm like, what the
It's
hell?
kind of like Five Guys, but it's Six Guys. Better, huh? So I would just eat and eat and eat and eat and drink the most nastiest pops and sodas and whatever the hell it was. And I just gained so much weight. And I looked at myself in the mirror like 2 weeks ago, and I was like, bro, what the fuck happened to me? You know what I mean? Like I was decently in shape like 6 months ago. What the fuck? And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna hit up my buddy Damien, who lives up in Detroit area. And I asked him, he's always doing like these like 75 Hards and all these cool little things, right? So I was like, bro.
Like that mud shit?
Yeah, he always does
I
like
hate that
these
stuff.
really cool fucking
I've never done one.
No.
No, I never
I'm
will.
not in shape yet to do it. So
You know what I'm talking about?
I do,
though, right?
like those
them mud,
those things.
5 miles through
Yeah,
mud
like that.
and
No way.
rocks and fuck that.
I'll pass. Absolutely. I don't like getting dirty like that either. So he told me like, bro, do 75 hard. And I was like, what the fuck is 75 hard? He's like, here it is. And he sent me like the schedule of what it looks like, right? So you have to eat on a really strict protein, low calorie diet, a gallon of water a day, 2 workouts per day, 45 minutes apiece. One of them has to be outside. The other one has to be inside, right? And you got to read 10 pages of a book and be productive all day long, right? And I've been doing that for 4 days now. I know it's still like early in the stages, but you feel the way you feel when you fuel your body with different foods, and you fuel it with going to the gym and walking and getting out and being active. I have not felt this good. I swear to you, I'm not trying to say this for the podcast. I have not felt this good for 4 days in a row in probably at least 6 months. Wow. I feel amazing. I'm just overloading my body with the protein and the healthy nutrients, right? And then going to the gym and burning it off. It's just like, it's such a good feeling. It's a great feeling. And then the water too. I've never been this hydrated. This is whey protein. It's not water, but
Yeah, when you said I'm doing 75 hard, I thought it was like a TV show. I'm like, oh, that's like you're like, oh.
I wish it was a TV show. I'd be a lot more famous than I am now, right?
It reminded me of there's a TV show that I watched, and I don't watch a lot of TV shows, but it was one that I watched where the dude grabs a camera and he's like recording in the hood and stuff, and he's like,
I think I know what you're talking
he's like,
about.
just keep recording. And there's like shootouts and
It's on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
I forgot.
Well,
I know what you're
yeah,
talking.
it's on YouTube.
He
Yeah.
like interviews like the most like hood places in the world. He travels to them.
No, this was like it's like a dude finds a camera.
Oh,
Yeah,
I've never seen that.
Yeah. And then he's just like, just hit record and just fucking record everything. They're like shootouts and everything.
damn.
Yeah, I forget what the.
That's crazy. There's a dude I watch on YouTube who does. He's like a really nerdy white dude and just goes to the most like unsafe areas in the whole entire United States. His most recent episode was in the Red Zone. You ever heard of the Red Zone up in Detroit? There's a certain zip code up in Detroit. It's called the Red Zone. You don't go there. Cops don't go. Nobody goes. And it's just like, gang shootouts every day. You can't go to the gas station. You drop $20, you're gonna die. Shit like that. You know what I mean? It's crazy. It's called the Red Zone.
I got a new workout routine too.
Yeah?
Yep.
What you got?
So I go Mondays I call it the rock routine.
The Rock,
Yeah.
like Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, he goes to the gym like, well, I don't know anymore, but he used to go like 6 hours a day.
Insane.
That's a full shift.
That's what you can do. You don't have I mean, he has a job, but like when you have that freedom to do what you want,
Yeah.
you have those opportunities. You know what I mean? We can't do that.
I want to go. So my goal, and my the vision that I have for this workout is go once a week, but go for like 4 hours, two different sessions, in the morning and the afternoon, evening, for 2 hours, and you work out your whole body,
Damn.
your full body, legs and everything.
Wow.
And
Beat
then
up.
just fucking just rest the rest of the
You
week.
need a Theragun.
Oh,
A Theragun? Ever heard of those? Those little guns that like percussion like your body and it makes you. You're the best. You're gonna need that. You're gonna need that.
To where do you see like I wanna hear about your vision, right?
Okay.
And you know that's wordplay.
It is a wordplay. It is a wordplay. I appreciate that.
But I want to see your vision in sales, and then I want to talk about your vision.
Okay.
So, sales, where do you see yourself going in sales?
The only way I can ever see myself is no matter where I go, whether I'm at here, there, or then, wherever I'm at, is
Yep.
I am destined to be the best that there is there at the time. I'll tell you this: I've never been at a sales company where I was not the best yet. Right? I'm not saying that because I'm cocky, because I'm confident. Right? I look at myself like I am unbeatable. Right? So, like I said, there's this quote that I heard like 2 years ago, and it was like, "You can ding me, you can scratch me, you can punch me, you can throw whatever you want at me, but you will not beat me." Right? You can, even if you beat me for the month, I might have, but I still didn't lose. You know what I mean? It's a mentality switch.
Yeah.
Right? That's how it is. So I see myself. I mean,
And sales is your bread and butter. You don't think you'll ever leave
ever,
it? Yeah.
ever can't.
That's the beauty about sales is you can be 60 years old and still sell.
Not climbing on roofs, but yeah, yeah. No, exactly. And that's the thing. Like I found my bread and butter. I found my niche market. I found exactly what I love to do, and that's meeting with different people and meeting and hearing what they need and what they want and how I can solve it with integrity, right? Of whoever the company I work for, right?
And what I think like in sales is, I think of sales as like you're the bridge between the company, right, that you're representing and what the customer wants, right? So you're that bridge of like, okay, hey, I want new siding and it's going to have shake or whatever and roof. And so you're helping them create the vision. And then you go back to the company and help them understand the vision. So you're that bridge. And I think the reason why you excel in it is because this is what you want the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest things. Like for me, it's like, I don't know who told me this, but they were like, Kevin, whatever you do, always empty the clip, right? Always go 100% at it because that way it's going to excel. And if you're out there and you're like, oh, I want to get into sales, but you wake up every day hating it, don't be in sales, right? Or if you're like, I don't know if I'm going to do this in 10 years, then don't be in sales.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And the fact that you understand that that's what you want to do the rest of your life, and there's no doubt about it, is what I think helps make you as good as you are.
It's true. And for me it's not necessarily wanting to be in sales because I like sales, what drives me. It's I know what sales can do for me as well. Right? Not what I know that I can do in sales, but what it can do for me. Right? Because what it's provided me in the past was a beautiful wife, a beautiful daughter. I mean, I didn't buy my wife, but you know what I mean? Like it helped me in my relationship, right? Of course. And my beautiful daughter, I can provide for them. I can help my daughter gets whatever she wants. And she's spoiled. She gets whatever she wants, no matter where we're at. She gets it. You know what I mean? So it's helped me financially, and it's helped me mentally prepare myself for life. It's that's what it brings to me.
Yeah.
And that's why I know for a fact, no matter what I do in my life, I could never go be an electrician.
Yeah.
I can never go. I probably could, but I wouldn't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like sales. I love sales. I love it. Like I shit, eat, and breathe sales. That's what I do. I could sell anything. I could sell water to a fish.
I was gonna ask you where'd you buy Chloe? Amazon.com?
Yeah, Amazon. Yeah, she's on Prime Day. No, she's great, man. I mean, honestly, I'll say this too. I'll shout her out on this too, man. She has been my absolute, like, dude, I might cry. She has been my fucking rock. I mean, if there was anybody in my entire life who I can ever depend on, it's her. You know what I mean? Through everything I've ever been through in my entire life since the day I met her 10 and a half years ago. You know what I mean? We've never split up. Since 2016, never split up, not one time. You know? And she has been the most just understanding, down to earth, and just the person I've ever met in my entire life. I mean, she's a great mother. You know what I mean? She takes care of the house. You know, when I'm not having a good day, she picks up. When she's not having a good day, I pick up. You know what I mean? It's like we work really well for each other. Sure, we butt heads, but dude, I would never have my life any other way than it is right now.
That's truly what makes a great woman, you know, and that's like one of the things even with Tegan, like for example, you know, that's why I always say at the end of the day, it's like a man will do whatever he can, but a woman really lays down the foundation.
It's true.
You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, like I see this version of Kaleb, but she may see the Kaleb that's tired, the Kaleb that's worn out, the Kaleb that is mentally exhausted, is tired of talking, is tired. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing with Tegan. You know, you guys see a different side of Kevin than she would.
Absolutely.
She does. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's crucial to have an important partner that's going to understand what you do and also understand how you're out. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but is going to understand like the fact that you're out there, like I said earlier, emptying the clip.
Yep.
And then unfortunately though, and this is why I think like good women in general are just so strong, is because they see they get like the leftovers. Of the man.
It's true.
You know what I'm saying?
That's deep. That's deep.
You know what I'm
Kevin.
saying?
That's deep.
I mean, it's true though.
It's so true. I've never thought of it that way. They get the leftovers because we go to work all day. We grind all day. Empty the clip.
Exactly.
As soon as you walk in that door, your clip's empty.
Exactly.
You know, so you can only give, you know, so much. And they have to deal with, nothing fancy. The shit you learn, nothing fancy, I guess.
You know, but you know, and that's just how I see it. And you know, the moment you and your partner understand that, and the moment you as the man is like, you know, hey, like, you know, whether you're gonna be the sole provider or you guys find a way to make it work, it's about balancing the ups and downs together.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And life will life. You know what I'm saying? So shit will happen, but gotta stick together and figure it out.
True. That's one thing that's for sure, is we're together.
I want to talk about your vision, with a company that you're starting out, clothing brand, right? And it's called Vision.
It is
VY
VYSION. Spelled a little bit differently. Yeah, it's different.
How how did that even come about?
So
have you always wanted to get into?
I used to have another one, but it failed.
A clothing brand?
So I didn't lose, but the company failed. Right? I don't lose. So I'm always going to come back, right? So
you're like DJ Khaled, I don't lose weight.
Exactly.
Because I don't lose.
Exactly. I'm going to lose weight, but I don't lose. So I had one before. It was called Proper Golf. It was a long time ago. It was 20.
That's actually a good name too.
Proper, because it was like, you know, I don't know if you ever golfed a lot, but like you go into a clubhouse and before you walk into any golf clubhouse, it literally says on the front door, proper golf attire required. You have to wear a polo shirt. You got to wear something nice. I was like, okay, Proper Golf sounds like a good fucking idea, right?
Right.
But I was young and I was like trying to be cool. So I made these I had this company, this manufacturer overseas, make these polos that were really nice quality, but the prints were really like flashy and bright and just like outlandish. You know what I mean? Which is like, it was targeted for like the weekend warrior golfers, drunk people who would go out and drink beer at the golf course, just to have a good time, you know? But
like me.
Yeah, like you, exactly like you. I didn't have that. I didn't have the marketing and sales mindset just then yet. That's when I first started like rocking around at Erie, right? I didn't learn like the whole entrepreneurial, how to market this company type ordeal. Yeah. And after working for, you know, for Erie and then now for Selena's, you know, I've learned a lot about the marketing side of things and the sales side of things, where now I know for a fact that this one will not fail, because I will not let it fail. So basically what it is now is I've had this vision in my brain for the past year now that, you know, like for me is I'm really big into going outdoors and doing stuff, right? Whether it's, going for a walk or going to the park or going swimming or going kayaking or going up north or going anywhere, right? Just doing anything. And I'm always, you want to be comfy where you're going, right? And the big hurdle is that people only look at 3 companies basically anymore for athleisure, right? Like Nike and Adidas, they don't count. They just do all their shit too. Right. Athleisure is really Lululemon.
Yeah, what is athleisure?
Athleisure,
Never heard that word.
So
Sounds
it's right.
fancy.
It's different, right? It's a fancy word. Athleisure is athletic apparel.
It's banned from this podcast now.
Trademarked. So athleisure is basically what you can wear to do athletics in, but also you can wear it when you're leisurely, hanging out, chilling, right? Going to the store, chilling at home, doing a podcast, whatever you're doing, you can be used for both. So the companies that people look at the most are Lululemon, obviously, right? You've got Viore, which is another big one, and you've got Alo, the Alo yoga company that everybody's talking about, the ALO company. Yeah, they make men's and women's. Those are the 3 big. Those are the three.
Which it was Aloe, Lululemon, and what was
Viore.
Viore.
Yeah, Viore means mountain in like Sweden or something. I've looked all this stuff up for years, right? Viore means like mountain in Sweden or something. It's just, I don't know. But those 3 are the biggest athleisure companies around. Right. Okay. So what I'm tired of doing is if I want to get a nice sweater, right, from Lulu, $160, if not more. Women's leggings, $140, right? Or you go to Viore and you want to get a.
I'll be honest, I've never shopped at Lulu. I thought that was all women's.
No, there's men's there. I rock a lot of Lulu. Yeah, really? I'll be honest, off the record, Lululemon has the best boxer briefs you'll ever wear in your life. They're insane. I'm gonna get you some for Christmas. So I'm tired of paying this absorbent amount of money just to pay for their marketing and their, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can get the same material, the exact same, and make it the exact same way.
Yeah.
And just charge half. You know what I mean? So my goal for vision is, because I have this vision to deliver the same quality and workmanship and expertise as what you can buy from Lulu, Viore, Alo, all these other companies, and just charge less for the more average American, the average consumer. Yeah, the average consumer. Yeah. Because not everybody has $140 to go buy a pair of women's leggings.
What made you come up with the name Vision?
Because I had this vision that I feel like this is what people need. People need something of this stature to be able to go. And don't get me wrong, Lulu's nice. People are going to wear it still because it's a good brand. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. Their stuff is nice, but there's the people who are sick and tired of, if they go to Christmas shopping for their sister and they spend $600 at Lululemon, they got three items. It's insane to me, and the only thing you're paying for is the name.
What do you think? See, sometimes I feel like there's people though who like the exclusivity of buying something more expensive.
Absolutely.
So how do you approach that those consumers?
Try mine one time. That's it. Try it one time. Put it on. Try it one time, and you let me know if you're gonna like exclusivity because of what? The logo on it. Logo is just a logo. You know, they put that on there for 47 cents. You know what I mean? You're paying for the logo. Right. What you like the most is the fit and the material, right? And I'm gonna offer almost a replica of fit and material. You can't be exact because they have it trademarked, right? Which if you're so for example, if you want to make women's leggings are 87% nylon, 13% spandex, right? If I make them 86% nylon, 14% spandex, I'm clear. Good. Yeah. And it's
so they have same. They have the cloth patented whatever.
Some they do. Yeah. So they will trademark a certain blend of fabric. They'll mix spandex and lycra and Pima cotton, let's just say, and they'll blend it all together and they'll call it Lulu Cool Down or some shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's what they'll do. And they could trademark that. They can. But you can still use the material, but it can't be the exact same makeup as what they're doing. Yeah. Same percentages wise. You know what I mean? So mine is I'm going to be focusing on a lot of expensive fabrics. So number one is one no one's ever probably heard of. Is called bamboo viscose. Right? Yeah, no one's ever heard of it, right? Because it's it's like a under the radar, amazing fabric. It feels like, I don't know, if your hoodie you're wearing right now is super, super soft on the outside, which I'm sure it is.
Soft on the outside? Yeah, it's pretty soft.
Right?
It's all right.
I mean, this bamboo viscose feels like a blanket. Yeah. And it stretches like a normal, like a really nice leggings would. You know what I mean? Yeah. It has there's 6 fibers that are bamboo And then there's like 6 that are spandex, and they're interwound together. That makes them this bamboo viscose fabric. And it's durable, it's breathable, it's got 4-way stretch. It's amazing. And it's expensive, but I'm not going to be marking up my stuff 250%, right?
Yeah, right.
Like a normal pair of leggings for a woman are going to be like $65. They're going to be amazing.
Do you have a specific when you have this vision of this apparel? Like, do you have a specific type of consumer, I guess, that you have in mind? Like, do you have like in your head? Are you like, okay, this is for these types of people?
I don't necessarily want to push it to a certain demographic, right? I was just going to lean more towards people who are wanting to be more active, right, and do things. But it'll range from extra small to 4XL. I mean, it's going to fit everybody, right? Because everyone's going to want to change their life around at some point if they are a little bit less active than others, right?
Yeah.
They're going to want to change their life around at some point. Like, okay, you know what? I got to get into shape. I got to start doing this and the other. But Lulu doesn't make that. Viore doesn't make that. Aloe doesn't make that. They don't make those sizes, right?
Yeah.
I know they make plus size women's leggings and stuff, but like men's hoodies, they go up to like XL, 2XL, and that's it. They don't go any bigger than that, right? So I'm going to offer this full range of sizing and materials for every single person. So I don't care if you're 5'2" and 140 pounds or you're 6'6", 350 pounds. You can wear it. So my goal is by April, a full launch of all women's, all men's. I'm going to have probably 6 different pieces for women and about 6 to 10 pieces for men. That includes shorts, polos, hoodies, jackets, same for women, and leggings too for women, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're working out all the kinks right now, and hopefully in April. Do you have a set date yet, or no?
I don't. So the website is already built, but it's locked for my eyes only right now. So it's locked. But I just right now I'm in the process of getting the final details down. I mean, down to the button of my golf polo, down to the button. They're called mother of pearls. They're not like a normal plastic button. It's a pearl. I mean, it's plastic, but they're called mother of pearl. So they have like this iridescent look to them, and they're engraved. I mean, it's down to
The fuck is iridescent?
dude. It's down. It is down to the detail of every single thing I'm doing with these polos and all these clothes. They have a certain trademark to them too. Like there's a company out there called Roback. You heard of them before? Like a golf polo company, golf athletic wear company. They do it's called a non-brand trademark on all their clothes, and they do like a 2 stripes in the back of their clothes that matches the same color of the shirt. I'm doing.
I think I may have seen them.
They're all over the place. I mean, they're a huge company.
Now that you say that, I may have seen them. I just didn't
You
know.
saw the non-brand ID. That's what everybody wants to see. So for mine is I'm doing a small, like a little, 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch woven label on every single piece of clothing that I do, but the colors are going to match whatever type of clothing, like the color of whatever it is. So when someone sees the woven label, they will know that that's what that is. You know what I mean?
I have a buddy. His name Gerald. He owns
Mudmade?
Yeah. And
Follow him on Instagram.
and I talked to him a lot about. Shout out to him too, by the way. He sometimes gives me free gear.
His hats are sweet.
Yeah,
those are cool.
They're super sweet. They're super sweet. But I like to understand like the mindset of like a clothing brand. I've always been a fan of clothing.
Me too.
But I for myself, for me, I look at comfort.
Yep.
The first thing I look at is like, okay, I want to be comfortable. Because back then, like back in 2014, 13, when I like started like making a little bit of money, I would buy shit that was uncomfortable, but I'd buy it because of the name.
It looked cool.
And it looked cool, and then
Sure.
but as I matured in my style and in my who I am, I realized like, why am I buying this for the name instead of like I'm never wearing it because it's uncomfortable. You know what I'm
Special
saying?
occasion type thing.
Exactly. And I became more like I care about comfort, and I want and when I buy a piece. And I'm telling you this because I think it's important for you to understand like how maybe like people like me think. When I buy a piece, I look at the comfort and I look at, okay, where can I wear this? Like, where can I wear it? And is it easy to match with other things? Right. And then when I was talking to Gerald, his is more like streetwear. And I was telling him, hey, you should try to go a little more minimalistic. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, because I'd love to wear your stuff like to a meeting or whatever, and and just be able to represent and stuff. And I think he's getting into that now, is the minimalistic as well. But I think that's what Nike and like Adidas and all of those guys do great. You know, you look at Polo Ralph Lauren, like they have their streetwear type of shit, type of clothing. And then, but they also have like the polo, like, you know, oh, you're going to wear this to the Olympics.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Like you're going to wear this to a golf outing or whatever. Like, so they have, they don't lose their identity, but they
broaden
it, and they're able to still get different demographics of people without losing their identity. And I think that's what could potentially make a clothing brand even bigger. You know what I'm saying?
That's the thing too. Like what I feel is like on my side is when vision comes alive, I'm not doing like this loud and crazy designs and stuff, right? Because I'm not certain for a certain demographic, but there isn't one person on this planet who goes, oh, that's a plain black polo, right? I'm never going to wear that because it's plain. No, people will say, I'm not going to wear that because there's a bunch of donuts all over it. You know what I mean? No one's going to turn down just a plain black polo. If it's nice, it's nice. You wear it anywhere you want. You know what I mean? So that's my kind of thing is I'm doing all like minimalistic, minimal logos, clean, comfort, fit, perfect. I mean, the fit is going to be insane. Every single piece I am bringing to is I'm getting it sampled and I'm measuring down to the square inch, down to the square, honestly, quarter of an inch. And I'm getting every single fit down to a T before I order anything bulk. I can get them in like 2-3 weeks. But these samples are going to, when you put it on, you're going to be like, man, this fits perfect. Perfect fit.
That's really cool though that you have a goal in mind, because at the end of the day, that's what it's about. You know, and that's what this show in general is about, is, you know, like really understanding people's stories and what they went through and everything they overcame, which made them who they are now, you know. But now you have a different vision, you know, but at the same time, you still have your bread and butter, right? And at the end of the day, I think what's going to keep you, someone like you, out of that mentality of, you know, depression, and it's the same thing that would keep me out of it, which is basically always being productive.
Hustle.
Right? Hustle, always be productive, and work on probably 2 or 3 things at the same time.
I can do it. I've managed multiple things at once. I can do this. And that's one thing, like like I said, when I started that proper golf a while ago, 6-7 years ago or so, let's say, I didn't have, not to use puns, I didn't have the vision for it. You know what I mean? I just wanted to do it because I thought it was cool. You know what I mean? Now I have a vision, and this is what I want it to do. Eventually, there will be this is going to kind of cool. I'll kind of release this in the podcast for the first time. There is going to be a trailer. There's going to be it's going to be called the Backpack Tour. What's going to happen is there's going to be a 16 by 12 foot trailer that opens up.
Coaling it
to a full shop. Yeah, basically. It'll be a full shop loaded with my apparel, loaded, right? And I have 2 people right now who I'm going to hire, and I have to get permits in, I think, 13 more cities I have to buy permits for. But by the middle and the end of 2026, there will be a vision tour. It's called the Backpack Tour. And this van will travel to all the campuses around the United States, all around Northwest Ohio, Southeast Michigan, Tennessee, New York, Florida. They're going to travel, and they're going to set up shop at college campuses, fairs, festivals, everywhere. And all it's going to do is going to get, it's all of a brand awareness campaign, right?
Yep.
Just getting it there in front of people to have to come see and feel and touch it.
That is fucking crazy, because I'm literally thinking of the same thing, and no one knows this. This is just something that I've thought about, and I'm working on the back end on my, on my own with Nothing Fancy.
Brilliant.
Is going to the bars and but mine was giving them away, basically. Give away T-shirts to waitresses, bartenders, and waiters, and
that's cool.
Just different throughout the city, and just the logo. But mine's more for the show, obviously.
Well, yeah, but are you gonna you should do a pop-up. You should do pop-ups.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still working on the marketing, but
that's cool though.
But yeah, and I just think it's crazy that you literally said the same thing. So maybe we could work something out, work together. It's like, hey, like tell them. Mine, just give them away. Yours you could tell. Mine, just give them away. My thing is just I just want people to wear them across the United States. I'd be like, I keep seeing that fucking logo. What is that?
So that's I took that inspiration a little bit. There was a company, I'm not going to mention the name. because I don't want them to yell at me for taking their idea. But there was a company that also does something similar to that.
Oh, really?
For apparel, right? They also did that. They do that around the nation. They only do it once a year. It's for like 6 weeks. They do it once a year because it's expensive to do. I mean, there's a lot of gas and time and pay and permits each city, like $140 a city, you know? So you got to do permits in every single city you go to set up, you know? So they inspired me to do that. And that's the best marketing, you know, it's amazing marketing. It's not everybody, you know,
why don't you do like where it's like, get a car, a table, a cloth, and then like you set it up and you just go fucking to a campus or something, just fucking sit there for a day and then go to the next one. And wouldn't that be a lot cheaper just to start off?
It would be cheaper, but my goal is to turn heads, not really to be cheaper, right?
Okay.
So when I want this trailer to be 12 by 16, right? My logo on it, what it is, and the side pops down, kind of like a food truck would be. The side pops down. And you can go and you can walk inside the trailer and you can pick out racks of clothes and you can try them on, whatever you want to do. It'll be a full setup. It'll be a full gig. So cheaper, like as you know, for me is cheaper is good for my pockets, but it's not good for the business, right?
Yep.
So what I wanted to, that's what I'm going to do. A full blown backpack tour pop-up shop for Vision 2026, probably August, September.
And what are you gonna, so what are like the products? Like in the very beginning, you said in April, you're gonna start releasing product. Like what products, and then what else do you have in mind maybe for next year? Or, you know.
So for men's, I'm releasing 1,000% golf polos, or just polos, right? Clean, nice, nothing crazy, just nice, clean polos.
I'll buy a couple.
Most
of those.
comfortable you ever wear in your life, I guarantee it. Polos, quarter zips, hoodies, and joggers. Right? For men's.
Okay.
For women's, I will be having in April, I'm going to have leggings, mock neck, crew hoodies. And then we're going to do, I think I'm going to do quarter zips as well. And then like a cropped yoga shirt. Like it comes to here, but it's like baggier so I can wear it to the gym and, you know, X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
But
I've always liked, you know, them one, like short sleeve, like polos that are like tight here, kind of make you look buffer. Get some of those.
that's exactly how they are. That's
Really?
exactly how they are. So the
They just
standard
make you look buff. It makes a man feel good. It's all about the feeling.
the standard polo, golf polo, right? A nice polo you go buy from whatever the heck it is. The standard arm length, right, is like standard arm width is like 13 and a half inches. Yeah. Most men's biceps on radius are only 8.5 inches wide from here to here, right? So what are mine? 8.5 inches wide. They're gonna fit nice here. They're going to be tight up here, and they're going to be straight cut through the center. So it doesn't. So if you are a man, you got a little extra pudgy. You're not going to see it. It's going to be hidden, clear as day by the polo.
And that's gonna make a man feel good.
Correct.
I was in Florida with Justin, and I bought we went into Polo Ralph Lauren, and there was a shirt that was like $80, and he's like, Jesus, $80, and I said. And I was like, hey, let me check it out. So I tried it, you know, and it made me feel really good.
Yeah.
And I said, Justin, the thing about clothing, I said, it's a feeling.
It's true.
Just like anything else, like sales, right? In general, it's a feeling.
It is.
I said, this shirt is $80, but it makes me feel like $1 million.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's all, exactly. You know, so and that's why I say, you know, like, you know, the thing about, I think the thing with clothing in general is making sure whoever's wearing it is feeling comfortable and they feel it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And there's going to be a thing like for me is there's my size charts are not broken down from, I mean, they are, but like broken down from large and extra large, right? So let's say a large is 29.5 inches long and an extra large is 31.5 inches long. There's that gap between the 29.5 and 31.5. I'm going to offer 30.5 right in between the two. So it's not too long, it's not too short with all of my sizes. So whether it's long sleeves, whether it's the length, whether it's the taper of the chest and the shoulders, all of it's going to be in by halves because that extra half could mean a lot to somebody. You know what I mean? Like me, I don't like shirts that are tight between here and here. I don't like it.
Yeah.
Like they're like skin tight. I won't do it. It's because it was only a half-inch difference though. Half-inch difference brings it up to right about there and it makes it way more comfortable for you. So everything's a half inch for me.
And then it doesn't make it too loose in the gut. So if you have a gut, it's not too tight, it's not too loose, you know. Because then it's like, okay, you're either too skinny or you're too big, you know. So no, that's I think you'll do well with it.
Thank you.
Looks like you're very invested.
Very. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, dude, my days, like I get up, I play with my kid, I give her lunch, I play with her all day. She goes to bed at 7:30. Chloe, as you know, she started her own boutique as well. So she does that and I do mine. And I'm going from like 7:30 to like sometimes 5 o'clock in the morning, all night by myself, just going,
Yeah.
building stuff and researching and talking to manufacturers and, and dealing with all of this extra stuff that's like, that I know that these hours that I'm putting in when I'm in the future and I'm walking down I'm in Miami or something at a beach and I see a dude wearing a hoodie or something. I'm like, oh, I made it.
It's got to be a badass
I
feeling.
made it. You know
what I mean?
Yeah.
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 You know, I feel like that'd be a badass feeling, just, being out randomly at a different city and someone's wearing your shit.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Anywhere you go, that's what I want to. That's what I want to do. That's my goal.
That was me last night. Actually, I came up with an idea that I won't share on cameras right now.
You do or don't?
I did. I came up with an idea. I came up with the whole game plan and everything. Just
Yeah.
an app.
An app?
Yeah.
What kind of app?
I'll tell you off camera.
In the future. Just an app.
Yeah,
Okay.
an app. Yep. And but this is probably for next year or whatever.
okay.
But I think it's a really good idea.
Okay. An app.
But that's us. We're always, even Tegan was like, well, don't you got the fucking podcast? Like, I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's up and running and it's going. And now I'm just tweaking the, editing and this and that. I said, but that's
Chloe gets sick of my ideas.
part time now.
She gets sick. Yeah, it's part time now. She gets sick of I have an idea. She goes, oh my God, here we go. Because like I'm always trying to do something,
Right.
Well, here's the thing my dad always taught me too is he always said to me, if you don't make $1 a day, you'll never make it. And I took that to heart because it's almost true, right? If you're not hustling your hand every single day, every day, you're never going to make it. And people who sit there and they're complacent and they want to just live a normal life and, a 9 to 5, that's cool. That's good for you. For me, I don't even know sometimes it's Saturday. You know what I mean?
Right,
That's how hard I work. When I'm working like that, I don't even sometimes realize it's Saturday. There's certain things that some people are built with and born with and some people who aren't. But if anybody out there who ever wants to go and do something, but they're scared of doing it because they're scared of failure, scared of objections, like I said when we first started, fear is also scared of you, right? It screams and runs away at the day that you say, fuck you, right? I'm coming. I'm going to do it anyway. You know what I mean? Then you won't have objections. You won't have fear. What are you scared of?
Yeah.
Right? Like, what could you possibly be scared of? Failing? Cool. Do it again.
Yeah.
Do it again. Do it again. Do it again. Doesn't matter.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Because it's true. It's, fear is scared of you.
It is.
So just fucking do it.
Yeah. Just do it. What's the worst that's going to happen to you? You fail for a minute. Doesn't mean you lose. Right?
Exactly.
Doesn't mean you lose.
What do you, I want you to give yourself a message.
Okay.
Say 20 years down the road. And this is super random, but just give yourself a message. Think you're 40 years old. What would you tell yourself? Or a message, whatever you want to say, honestly, as far as like where you're at in life, that you can come back to when you're, 40, 50, whatever age you want to come back to it and hear this message. Give yourself a message on the camera.
Message.
And I want you to also, I'm starting with you, but I would also like to ask you while you think of that, to give your daughter a message too.
Okay. I like that. Okay. Well, first, let's do mine. And I'm going to say this is, again, a quote that I've said, and I'm going to say it till the day I'm 6 feet in the dirt, right? The hardest climb has the best view. The best view. So no matter what you're doing in your life, you just go and go and go and go. And when you finally get to your threshold of where you know you made it, and you look out and you see what all you've done, it's the best feeling, the best view. Now, God forbid I'm only 30, right? But like I said, in 10, 15, 20 years, I'm going to be able to say that I know for a fact in myself, I'm confident. I'm going to look back in 20, 15 years from now and say, I worked my ass off to get where I am now and do what I'm doing. So the hardest climb, best view, without question.
What message and what legacy do you want to leave for Chloe and your daughter?
That, oh, fuck, he got me on that one. I don't know. I have to cut that one out. I wasn't prepared for that one. What message do I want to leave for Chloe and my daughter?
or just or even what's something you want them to understand that maybe you never like. Sometimes it's better to leave a message than it is to explain something to someone, right? So it's like, what's something you want them to understand about Kaleb?
About me? Something I want them to understand about me is that sometimes I know that I may be, like you said, emptied clip. I may be tired, maybe irritated, I may be overexhausted, mentally beat up, but there isn't a day that goes by in my entire life, 7 days a week, 365, 12 months a year, 24 hours a day, that I do not need them and their motivation to keep me going on the days that I feel like I can't, right? So those two are the main driving factor in everything I do in my life, is the reason I wake up. You know what I mean? They're the reason I breathe, the reason I move, the reason I work, the reason everything is for those two individuals right there. So
What message do you have for anybody who maybe doesn't understand who Kaleb is?
sit back and watch, baby. Sit back and watch. Sit back and watch. You know, I mean, other than that, like I said, it's all about a confidence thing. I've said it 3 or 4 times in this podcast, is that you have to be confident in everything you do. Even if you don't feel confident, act confident. You know what I mean? And all the time that will build your internal confidence, and then you'll just be smooth sailing from there.
Like I like to say, fake it till you make it.
Fake it till you make it. Right. Fake it till you make it. I do that all the time. All the time. Almost every day of my life, I fake it till I make it.
Then before you realize you're making
it. You fucking made it. You fucking made it. Right. So absolutely.
Is before we wrap up this episode, is there anything you'd like to mention? Anything you'd like to discuss or talk about that maybe we didn't talk about?
I want to talk about Kevin.
Well, this show's about you.
I know. No, I think in the future though, I do want to learn more about you and your upbringing, where you come from. You know, maybe off camera and stuff, but I want to learn more about you, where you come from, because I'm super intrigued with that. I've always been super intrigued with people who come from nothing and make something, right? Because like all odds are against you. You know, all odds are against people who grow up with, like you said, nothing and come here or do this and that and the other and make themselves something, right? So like, I want to learn the story and take inspiration from those who did that, to see if I can tweak anything that I'm doing differently and learn from somebody else. Because I think I'm always coachable. You know what I mean? Like I said, I may be the best salesman. I may say I'm the best this, but I'm always coachable. I'm always looking to learn something new from somebody at some time in my life. Always, you know?
And that's how I am too. And I would say, the biggest thing, like, and there's a lot of people, I want to hear your story and stuff. It's just, my story is a sad story. And it's like, it's a deep story.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? But it's, one day I'll say it though. One day I want to write a book. Actually, but the one thing that's helped me out personally a ton in my life is the fact that I learn from every conversation.
Sure.
And that's why I like to have these conversations. That's why I get everyone, anybody, whoever that has something to say, I want to sit down and talk to them. For one, I want to network with them and get to know them more, right? And I think we understand people more when we know their story.
True.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We attach like what we know, because you could look at somebody and be like, well, why is he grumpy all the time? But maybe you don't realize what he went through. Maybe he went through some real shit that made him that way.
Yeah.
So it's like then you have empathy towards why he is the way he is.
Yeah.
Right. But
it's true though. It's true you say that, because I look back at it now, like, like when I first started started here, like the bullying part, right? Like, you never know what someone's going through. You know what I mean? So like, it's never been again for me. I've never just been out of my way and been an asshole to somebody. You know what I mean? Like, ever in my life, and I never will do that. Especially strangers, because you never know what someone's going through in their own personal life or anything. So you really gotta not tread lightly, but just treat others with the same way you want to be treated. You know what I mean? Like I've never in my life treated someone poorly just for no reason. Because I was miserable. You know what I mean? I can be miserable as a motherfucker.
And that's why someone's pissed off or whatever, they do something, I'm just like, whatever. Maybe they're going through something. Maybe you don't know if that morning they got some bad news from the doctor or something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like every story means something, and we can all learn something from every story. And I would say that's been my biggest teacher, because like you, I actually dropped out of high school when I was a junior as well. But But my biggest teacher has been the fact that I can sit down and talk with somebody, pick their brain, talk to them about what they're good at, and just take things from them,
Yeah.
right? Take little things from them. And that's what kind of has shaped me as a person,
Yeah.
you know, because I'm just like, I'm very coachable. I'm willing to learn, and I'm willing to sit down and have a conversation with you and hear your story.
And what
right?
this does too for the others who are doing the podcast as well is it helps them self-reflect too. You know, like here, like we talked about all this. Never would I thought I would ever in my life talk about all of this stuff ever again. You know what I mean? Like I buried that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I buried the bullying. I buried the dropout. I buried the homelessness. I buried all of that stuff, you know? But bringing it back up, it makes me feel like where I'm at now is here and here.
You've been through a lot.
I've been, you know what I mean? Like the way that my life has been a roller coaster, and now I'm close to that end mark. Like, damn, that was a good ride. You know what I mean?
Well, you know, life happens so fast. Like you said earlier, you know, sometimes you don't even know when it's Saturday.
Yeah.
And it's true, you know, life happens so fast. But you get to just sit down and have a conversation like this and really reflect on your story. It makes you realize as the guest as well, everything that you've been through.
Crazy to
You know
think
what I'm
about.
saying? It makes you realize everything that you've been through, and you put away the phone. You're not texting. You're not worried about what's in the socials out there. You're just telling your story and maybe hearing bits of mine, and you're like, wow, like I have been through a lot.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's good for us to reflect. Like
It is. It feels good almost, you know? Like you're getting some shit off your
said
chest.
someone the other day said, "This feels like fucking therapy."
It does.
I
It
love
feels good, dude. Like I like doing this. Yeah, you guys hiring? Can I do some more of this? This is great. No, this is cool, man. This is again. I told you a couple weeks ago. I've been looking forward to doing this since you got going with this. You know, and like I said, I told you earlier again. Like you're my boss, but I'm proud of you, dude. Like this shit. Like this is cool, dude. Like I feel like kind of like what was his name? Clutch. How he said, I feel important. Right? I feel important right now. Like I'm on this motherfucker doing this. Like this is so cool. This is the coolest thing I've ever done. Top 5 at least.
Nice. Well, good. I'm glad, and you know, I'm glad I got to you know, take your podcast virginity. So I appreciate that. You know, and
Thank you.
and to everybody listening, this is Kaleb Jomaa. Thank you very much for tuning in. Nothing fancy.